shop monthly and I cook weekly. And I had the feeling it was not well explained in the video I made yesterday. So every week I make sure I eat fish twice a week and I eat meat twice a week. I have one day of pantry food and one day of vegetarian food. So this means because these are considered days. Every day I have to account for 2 meals, lunch and dinner. Then I must have 4 meals of fish, 4 meals of meat, 2 meals made out of the pantry, and 2 meals that are vegetarian. And this is what allows me to buy things on a monthly basis. So let's say I go to the grocery shopping today and I decide to buy fish. So I'm going to buy salmon and I need salmon for 4 meals. If I need one fillet, let's call it that way, for each meal, I'm going to need 4 fillets of salmon. And by this way, I have salmon for 4 meals, so the equivalent of the fish for one week. But throughout the month, I don't eat just salmon. I eat salmon, I eat cod, I eat sardines, I eat tuna. And every time I go buy one of those proteins, I buy them in an amount that will last me for 4 meals. For 4 meals. And if I go this week and I buy the salmon, all I have for fish this week will be salmon. But if I buy salmon and I don't know the name of the other fish, it's a Portuguese name. Well, if I buy cod, for instance, cod, for instance, I already have two varieties of fish, so I can have 2 meals of salmon and 2 meals of cod, and I will still have enough cod and salmon to last me another week. But next week I'll go grocery shopping again and I'll buy, I have no idea the name of fishes in English. And I'll buy 2 different other varieties of fish. And again, each one for 4 meals. And that will provide me enough meals for the fish for that week that I can interchange with the salmon and the cod, or I can eat just them, the new fish, the next week. And I will have enough for one more week. So I had enough, I buy enough for the week I'm going to eat, and I leave 1 week left. And then I buy again for another week, and there's enough for another week. So I consume the equivalent for a week and leave enough for another week every time I go shopping. And when I do that 4 weeks, I will have the equivalent of fish for a whole month in the house. I don't have to go and spend all the money to buy all the varieties and everything at the same time. I just go slowly. And I do the same with meat. For instance, ground meat and ground beef and chicken. I go to the supermarket. I buy enough ground beef for 4 meals. Sorry. Then I get home and I either just do the meatballs or I divide half for meatballs and the other half for hamburgers. Just as long as I have enough for 2 meals of each one. And with the chicken, if I decide to roast it, I divide it in a way so it provides me 4 meals. And I can have them in the week I make, and I usually do. And this is why I wrote, I shop the proteins on a weekly basis that will last for 4 weeks. And then I eat them fresh from the fridge on the first 3 days. And I eat them from the freezer the rest of the week. And I don't have to eat the same thing every day because every week I have an increased variety of foods. It's like a never-ending cycle. Let's say I have the salmon, and the cod, and then I buy fish 1 and fish 2. This is the first week, this is the second week. But when I buy fish, I also buy meat. So in this first meat, I buy ground beef and I buy the chicken. And on the second week, I buy turkey and I buy pork, for instance. So I now have 8 varieties um, of proteins of fish and meat to choose from. And I, since every time I cook them in enough amount to last me for 4 meals, or I separate them in a way to provide me for 4 meals, and I only eat two, I will have 2, 4, 6, 8. I will have eight meals, not complete meals, 8 proteins for the meals every week after the second week on the fridge. Or on the second week on the fridge, because the following week, the third week, I will buy fish 3 and fish 4 and meat 4 and meat 5, meat 5 and meat 6, sorry, and meat 6. And these will add to the variety, which will now be 12. And since I keep saving some in the freezer, the amount of required time cooking is increasingly smaller. And I can even just quit completely 1 week a month. Or instead of continually buying 2 sources of protein each, I can just stay with one because I have enough left over. It sounds complicated, but as soon as you start doing it, it's super simple. I mean, you cook once, enough for 4 times. You eat 2 times, and the rest stays in the freezer and can roll over for the next week. That's basically it. Just have to make sure that you have at least 2 sources of protein so that you can do it with fish and meat. And then you always have vegetarian. But vegetarian, I don't even bother because there's garbanzo beans, there's red beans, there's white beans. The variety is huge, and all you have to do is buy a bag of dry beans or even canned ones, and you can easily make a meal, a vegetarian. And the same goes from the pantry. If you have eggs, if you have canned tuna, if you have canned sardines, and after you have filled your freezer, after you have enough food in there to provide you, those frozen foods become your